September 14th, 1941. Last week, Operation Typhoon began with an absolute blast, and it triggered an interesting domino effect of surprises. First of all, the Soviet High Command was quite surprised by this operation, judging by the lack of any Red Army reserves behind the main front line. This, in turn, surprised the Germans, who only witnessed the arrival of fresh Red Army reserves upon completing the encirclement of the forces facing the 4th and 6th Armies. But what was even more shocking for the Germans were the air recon reports stating that many of those fresh reserves were actually withdrawn from other sectors of the front. And so, when you're given the order to just hold the outer ring of an encirclement and wait for the infantry to arrive and relieve your panzers, but you spot all these juicy gaps in the enemy lines, what would you do? Well, to take advantage of the situation, you defy those orders, you don't wait for the infantry to arrive, and you encircle as many enemy troops as you possibly can. Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new weekly episode of War in the East 2. It's now mid-September, Operation Typhoon is 1 week old and things are going exactly according to the plans of the Axis High Command. But before diving into what happens in the sector of Army Group Center, I wanted to mention this time the 21st and the 11th Infantry Divisions of Army Group North, because this week, together with the Police Infantry Division, because this week those three units really deserve, let's say, a special acknowledgement in the Axis High Command bulletin, because they squeezed even more and they crushed even more the defenses, the Leningrad defenses on the southern edge of the city. And in particular, the police division even reached the southwestern suburbs of Leningrad. But that was not all, because in the sector of Army Group North, also the 24th, I think it was, I think it was the 27th Army Corps, even blasted its way across the enemy lines, and its men reached the Volkhov River, which in the plans of the... it was the 26th, no, not the 27th. I said the Volkhov River, that in the plans of the Axis High Command was supposed to be the maximum line of advance of Army Group North. And with this, I would say quite confidently and quite surely that Army Group North has achieved its objective, has now reached its final positions, and is now ready to dig in for what will come. And what will come after September is just the winter period. Okay, Army Group North still has to capture Leningrad, but time will tell when the fall of Leningrad will occur. Now, moving on in the sector of Army Group Center. The two panzer divisions that last week were being held in reserve, the 2nd and the 5th, this week they took part into their first combat action. And despite being not ready in terms of combat preparation points, the 2nd and the 5th Panzer Division secured the area between Cherepet and Belev by wiping out the isolated rifle division that was still standing there since last week. And then by shuffling around a little bit, the men of the 4th Panzer Army, the Axis High Command made sure that the Red Army didn't have, let's say, the possibility to launch a counterattack and penetrate the lines of Höppner's Panzer Group. The 4th Army, that has been standing idle for, I don't know, weeks now, I would say even more than 1 month, finally was on the move once again. And as a consequence, let's say, of the need of having infantry divisions fully booted up for the upcoming clearing of the pockets, nearly all of the army corps of the 4th Army were now ceded to the 4th Panzer Group, in a similar fashion to what happened with the infantry of the 9th Army and what will happen with the infantry of the 17th Army. And with the 4th Army now clearing both this Vyazma pocket and the Bryansk pocket, the Second Army and the infantry of the Second Panzer Group began doing the same in the context of the Orel and the Kursk pocket, even though the Kursk pocket was currently being reduced even by the troops of the Sixth Army. And oh yes, I forgot. Also, the infantry of the Third Panzer Group took part into the clearing of the pockets, and this was, let's say, kind of an unexpected move, because personally I didn't think that I could achieve all these victories by just moving troops here and there and taking them directly from the front line. But still, the intervention of the infantry of the Third Panzer Group once again forced me to stretch thin my troops. I was forced to reassign some divisions to the 9th Army, but then overall I kind of risked everything by regimenting my footborne, motorized and panzer divisions of the 3rd Panzer Group to at least have a thin screen of units protecting the flank of the encirclement. And yes, here with the infantry of the 2nd Panzer Group and of the 2nd Army, despite, I would say, not being in their best shapes. The majority of the infantry divisions of the 2nd Panzer Group didn't have enough fuel, even though, to talk about in-game terms, I got the feeling that the amount of fuel in the non-motorized units does not affect the attacking combat value. What really matters are the combat preparation points and as well the amount of ammunition, besides all those fancy stuff that I have discussed in my tutorial, basic and advanced tutorial episodes. Of interest, however, and this is something that I noticed already when moving the units of Army Group North, both sides were now kind of exhausted from the endless days and weeks and maybe even months of advances and battles. Because even if in some cases my units didn't have any CVP, or they just had a very low amount, they could still win against the enemy. So one, could only imagine how in bad shape the Soviet troops were. Here, you witnessed an interesting case of kind of, I don't know how it's called in chess, this move, but I swapped around one panzer regiment with one regiment of the Grossdeutschland division, just because I wanted to keep those regiments within the same line. And then here it began. The advance of the 24th Motorized Army Corps. It was an absolute surprise to see that the Red Army did have these gaps in between the lines, and because luckily for me I still had the majority of the panzer and motorized infantry divisions there, and those divisions did retain the majority of their combat preparation points, I just went blindly behind the enemy lines, and luckily, that was just pure luck, pure coincidence. I could manage, and I did manage, to encircle maybe 10, 12-ish enemy divisions more, which was, again, quite unexpected, but I was pretty happy to see that in the second week of Operation Typhoon, despite having given the orders to Guderian to just hold the line, No, Guderian defied my orders and he advanced even more into the enemy territory. And folks, that's already it for this episode. I wish you, first of all, I thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I wish you all the best, and as always, stay tuned for more, because in the next episode we have a look at what happens in the sector of Army Group South. And small spoiler alert, the 17th Army will become much, much weaker. But enough spoiler for now. Enjoy the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.